Good morning, and welcome to Live Oak Unitarian Universalist Church. I am probably not the face you expected to see this morning for some of you. I am the Reverend George Tyger. In my work life, however, I am known as, this is really ostentatious, Chaplain Lieutenant Colonel George Tyger. But in truth, I really just prefer to be called George. I'm a member of this wonderful congregation. I am a UU minister and an Army chaplain. My pronouns are he, him, and I am so glad that I could be here this morning. Thank you for joining us. We who bring a teaching of hope, who bring a saving message, who welcome all who come through our doors, Jews and Hindus, Muslims and atheists, straight, gay, lesbian, bisexual, cisgender, transgender, non-binary, intersex, all who are searching, seeking, looking for more meaning, more service, more love, more hope. All of us gathered here. I invite you to put your smartphone on the worship mode, which means it won't make any sounds, hopefully, but you can still post on social media about the things that you hear today, to let those who can't be with us know a little bit about what we are doing here this morning, share a little bit of our experience, and maybe even an invitation to be here next week. Please rise now, either in body or in spirit, and join us in singing number 166, Years Are Coming, and remain standing for the chalice lighting.
Years are coming, speed them onward, when the sword shall gather rust, and the helmet, lance, and falchion sleep at last in silent dust. Earth has heard too long, for thought or heard the trumpet's voice too long. But another age advances, sees foretold in ancient song. Years are coming when forever war's red banner shall be furled, and the angel peace be welcome, regent of a happy world. Earth has heard glorious era, when the sword shall gather rust, and the helmet, lance, and falchion sleep at last in silence dust.
Our chalice today is being lit by Tracy. This is a congregation bound not by creed, but by covenant. May those in agreement affirm our church covenant now. We affirm a caring community of and for all ages, seeking wisdom, doing service, and living with integrity. In our diversity, our covenant holds us in unity as we celebrate our shared spiritual journey. You may be seated. Good morning. Thank you. I'm Renee Garcia, and my pronouns are she, her. One of my favorite things about Live Oak Church is that this community professes its values loud and proud, and we actually live them. And this is demonstrated in what we do and how we treat each other. I'd like to welcome any guests we have today. Thank you for taking a chance to walk through our doors and worship with us. If this is your first time, please stop by the visitors table so we can meet you and answer any questions you might have. Also, we invite you to attend the Exploring Membership meeting, which will be held in the library after the service, and that's another great way to learn more about our community. This church is buzzing 7 days a week. There are a lot of ways for you to connect with our beloved community beyond Sunday. The best way to keep up with what's happening is to sign up for our weekly email newsletter, and you can do that at the visitor's desk, or you can also visit our website at liveoakuu.org and click on the What's Happening tab. One thing that's coming up is movie night, and that's going to be this Friday at 6:30. We'll be watching Jesus Christ Superstar. So bring whatever you'd like to drink, and we'll have the popcorn there for you. Our call to worship is by Edward Everett Hale. I am only one, but still I am one. I cannot do everything, but still I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do.
That's me, right? Yeah. Each Sunday, when we gather as a congregation, we bring our joys and sorrows with us into this room. When we ask for remembrance or celebration or prayer or thoughts, we make of this sanctuary a sacred circle. And first, Tim Buckley says, the joy of actually seeing the live oak trees on our property after the scouts of Troop 150 cleaned away the undergrowth. And Ram says, we had to say goodbye to our 16-year-old fur baby, Olivia, last evening. We knew the day was coming, but it was hard to wake up today without seeing her smiley face and wagging tail. And Barbara Calderon says, Ron starts radiation treatment tomorrow. And I have this sorrow to share. Jacqueline Fontaine, the mother of Reverend Joanna, died last night. Reverend Joanna thanks the ministers, staff, and church leaders for stepping in this week so that she was able to concentrate on loving her mother well as she went through this final transition. For all the joys and sorrows here spoken, we bear witness with our care and our concern and our silence.
Please rise and body your spirit for hymn number 396. I know this rose will open.
Good morning, everyone. We'll try to do this as a round. So the first time we'll sing together, and then we'll have this side lead. Let's have this side follow. And then when you end, just hold your last notes. And we'll meet together at the end, hopefully. Okay, Dara's going to lead us. mole will unfurl its wings. I know this will open. Awesome. Thank you. Take a seat.
I'm Chris Jarman. I'm your Director of Faith Development. And we're going to just see, is it working? It's not working. So we are all going to use our imagination today as I tell you a story. First, I have a flashlight. What do you do with a flashlight? I didn't hear anybody. Light your way. Helps you find things. Helps you see your way through the dark, right? I said that right there. Our story today is Little Mole Finds Hope by Glennis Ellis. So let's picture a little mole under the ground, hanging out in their living room. Little Mole was sad. He lay in the burrow deep underground, and he put his head on his paws. Little Mole, whatever's the problem? Asked Mama. I just don't know, Mama, sniffed Little Mole. But I don't feel good inside. I'm sad. What you need is hope, Mama said. Hope? What's hope? Where do you find it? Little Mole asked. Come with me, Mama said. And she took hold of Little Mole's paw. Sometimes hope is hiding in the darkness. Sometimes it's hard to see, but it's always there. You just have to find it. Mama led Little Mole gently out the dark burrow and up toward the light. But on their way out of the tunnel, Mama stopped. Do you see the bulb coming through the dirt, Little Mole, she asked. Mama pointed to the bulb, squashed in the dark earth. It was brown and wrinkled and lifeless. It's dead, Mama, said Little Mole. No, my dear, Mama whispered softly. This bulb is not dead. Sometime soon it will feel the warmth of the sun. It will begin to grow and push its way out of the deep, cold earth. One day, this bulb will be a bright yellow daffodil. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes. Can you see it, Little Mole? Can you see the daffodil dancing in the wind? Yes, Mama, cried Little Mole. I see it. I see it. That is hope, said Mama. Little Mole and Mama reached the top of the burrow where the sun was shining. Look up, Little Mole. Mama said, what do you see? Little Mole looked up. He saw woodpeckers sitting in the trees, but the branches were bare. They stretched out like skeleton bones, silhouetted against the sky. They're dead, Mama, said Little Mole. He's very pragmatic, this Little Mole. No, my dear, Mama whispered softly. The trees are not dead. One day soon, buds will appear, and these branches will be covered with bright green leaves. We just saw that happen here just in the last couple of weeks, right? Close your eyes. Can you see them dancing in the wind? Yes, Mama, cried Little Mole. I can see them. I see them. That is hope, said Mama. Little Mole and his Mama scurried along the edge of the woods until they came to Mr. Rabbit's gate. In the garden, an old brown flower pot was lying on its side in the soil, and under the rim something small and shriveled was hanging in it. What do you think he said? It's dead, Mama, said Little Mole. No, my dear, Mama whispered softly. This chrysalis is not dead. One day soon, the butterfly growing inside will burst out of her shell, and she will spread her wings and fly free among the flowers. Close your eyes. Can you see it? Can you see the butterfly? Can you see her dancing in the wind? Yes, Mama, said Little Mole. I see her. I see her. That is hope, said Mama. Little Mole and his mama went home. They had a wonderful day, and Little Mole said, "This was the best day ever, Mama. I know now that there's always hope, even in the darkest places." Mama smiled as she tucked Little Mole into bed, pulled his quilt up under his chin, and kissed him goodnight. And Little Mole closed his eyes and fell fast asleep, dreaming of yellow daffodils, green trees, beautiful butterflies, all dancing together in the wind. I love this story. It seems so simple, doesn't it? What I love is that Mama Mole shines a light of hope so Little Mole can find it. It seems like a good example of our third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth. Mama accepted that Little Mole was sad, and instead of trying to fix it, she shared hope with him so that he could experience it himself. Her hope became contagious. I wonder, how can all of us shine hope? How can we use the light to be brave? And with that, our story is told.
So our reading today is by Archibald MacLeish. The young dead soldiers do not speak. Nevertheless, they are heard in still houses. Who has not heard them? They have a silence that speaks for them at night when the clock counts. They say, "We were young. We have died. Remember us." They say, "We have done what we could, but until it is finished, it is not done." They say, "We have given our lives, but until it is finished, no one can know what our lives gave." They say, "Our deaths are not ours, they are yours. They will mean what you make them." They say, "Whether our lives and our deaths were for peace and a new hope, or for nothing, we cannot say. It is you who must say this." They say, "We leave you our deaths. Give them their meaning. Give them an end to the war and a true peace. Give them a victory that ends the war and a peace afterwards. Give them their meaning." "We were young," they say. "We have died. Remember us."
The announcements came in sequence. Started like this: 10 minutes, stand up, sound off for equipment check, hook up, check static line, 30 seconds, go. Then a green light above the aircraft door went on. I shuffled forward, my static line in hand. I handed it off. I turned towards the door, and with 3 steps, I kicked vigorously outward and upward, hoping to avoid being slammed against the aircraft on exit. And I was ripped out the door, blasted with prop wash, spun head over heels. I actually saw the sun and my feet at the same time, which I am pretty sure is not supposed to happen. And then I began screaming, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and then suddenly, miraculously, all became absolutely silent. And looking above me, I saw the most beautiful sight I have ever seen in my entire life: a fully inflated T-10 Delta parachute above my head. That test of faith came on day 1 of Jump Week at Basic Airborne School in Fort Benning, Georgia. Throughout the 2 weeks prior to that, we had been repeatedly drilled into us, trust your training, trust your training. Hundreds of mock exercises on the ground and then on 34-foot towers. We had again and again and again and again practiced exiting an aircraft and landing safely. Everything was aimed at one thing: getting those basic moves into our minds and our muscles so that when the real thing came, we would do the right thing regardless of what conditions we may have faced. The fact that I'm standing here without any broken limbs or screws in my bones is a testament to the fact that trust your training actually does work. Trust your training is a common refrain in the military. Much of what we do on a daily basis is dangerous, and many times we have to fall back on our training. Prior to executing the mission, all we have sometimes is what we remember from our training. But the funny thing is, you never really trust your training until the moment you have to actually use it. Up until then, it's all just kind of a leap of faith into the sky, and you hope that that parachute will open. Well, there was no amount of training, military training, that would have prepared me for some of the things that I faced in my last deployment to Afghanistan in 2011, 2012. But somehow I came through it, and when things got really tough, I knew what I needed to do. I knew what had to be done. But it took me a while to figure out exactly how I knew those things. So this morning, I'd like to share with you a little bit about what I discovered about myself, about the real power of our faith to hold us up and bring us safely back to solid ground. So within a week of arriving in Afghanistan in June of 2011, I found myself on the road heading to a small outpost near the center of Kandahar city. A day later, I loaded back into another armored truck and headed back out to another tiny outpost. A day later, I headed to another and another and another, and that would pretty much be the pattern for the entire year that I was there. I would spend 3 to 5 days traveling through the streets of Kandahar, Afghanistan, and then I would come back to my home base and do a little bit of reset and then go back out again. I conducted field services, I counseled young soldiers, most in their teens and 20s, and dealt with whatever issues happened to arise as I was out, and then come back to Camp Nathan Smith, my home base, for some meetings, and then go back out again. It was a dizzying pace, again and again and again. I would often be up before dawn, and then often not in bed till well after midnight. And throughout the hot Kandahar summer, I slept mostly outside to avoid the unbearable heat in the tents and the few hardstand buildings we had. In the winter, we huddled around burn barrels to try to keep warm. And somehow, and I don't know how this happened, I always managed to get to the next place just as chow was being put away. Like on a good day, I'd have 2 hot meals. More often than not, I ate cold MREs in the back of an armored truck. If you'd like to try one, I have one right here. You're more than welcome to open it and give it a shot. My one luxury was cigars. My cigars. I loved those cigars. A good cigar after a long day made it all seem more bearable. By the way, this right here was what I carried all my cigars in. It was kind of a leap of faith. Just jump in and believe that I had what I needed to do the job. And we would be lucky for about the first 3 weeks or so. Our first casualty wouldn't come until July. Sergeant Lex Lewis. Like all those I lost that year, I can clearly remember Sergeant Lewis's face. I can remember his smile. I can remember his determination. I can remember the way he strove to take care of the soldiers that he led. Those faces are something many of us carry with us. After Lex was killed, August came. I had just come back to Camp Nathan Smith, and I was called to the Tactical Operations Center where everything goes on, and we heard that a suicide bomber had driven an explosive-laden car into one of the outposts. The outpost I was at less than 24 hours before that. In a flash, the faces of each soldier I had come to know at that outpost came to my mind. At least one soldier had been killed, several others wounded, and the thought of which of those faces I would carry with me now haunted me again. I knew where I had to be, and so I told my chaplain assistant to get ready, get going, and within an hour, we were at that outpost at the site of the blast, and it was a twisted wreck of broken concrete and torn metal. The smell of explosives and the coppery smell of blood hung in the air, and soldiers were walking around dazed and unsure what to do, with the protective razor wire and walls destroyed and almost half of that platoon wounded. The situation was dangerous and desperate. And there's no way to train for that. There's no way to prepare yourself for that. So I just grabbed my pack and waded in. I put my arms around those soldiers. I looked them in their eyes. I cried with them, and I picked up what was left of Specialist Michael Roberts, and I sent him on his long final journey home. Like Sergeant Lewis, I now carry Specialist Roberts' face and his smile and his laugh as we played Uno a mere 24 hours before that with me every day. And as night fell, I passed out a few good cigars and listened to their stories. And then for 4 days, I stayed with them and filled sandbags and picked up debris and strung razor wire and held hands with those grieving young soldiers and tried to understand what it all might mean. And I still have no answers. There's a myth out there that all soldiers returning from combat are somehow irreparably broken by the experience. It's easy to imagine that the only possible outcome would be brokenness. And to be sure, there are those who are broken emotionally and spiritually, but there are far more of us that are not. And as I reread those lines, I realized, well, maybe that's not completely true. You see, we are all broken in some way, all of us. You and me, all of us, whatever our life experiences may be, we become broken by loss and by pain and by fear. But brokenness is not all that we are, or all that we can be. Whatever trauma or pain any of us feel or experience, whatever pain you have had to endure, there is a path through it. There is the possibility of healing. There is the hope that you can be stronger and more whole. And me, I struggle. I still struggle. There are moments when I am overcome by those faces that I carry with me. There are moments still that I have to pull to the side of the road and just cry or weep. But I still live and I still love. I am wounded, but not defeated. What made the difference for me and so many others is simple yet very profound, and that is faith. My faith saved me. Now, at first that may sound strange, right? Unitarian Universalists are not known for talking that much about faith, and especially not being saved by faith, right? We love to talk about what we think. We love to talk about what we believe, but faith is a very different thing. And it is just that, my faith, not my beliefs, not my thoughts, but my faith that saw me through that year in combat and many, many, many years since. When I joined the Army 18 years ago, I had been a parish minister for 13 years. This stole right here was given to me by the children of the first church that I served, who are now like in their 30s. I carry those faces with me too. But I thought I had a pretty strong UU faith. I believed in the worth and dignity of every person. I believed in transcending mystery and wonder. I believed in the principles and purposes that we had then. I believed in those like articles of faith. So with those blocks checked, I had a strong UU faith, but that faith had never really been tested. I never had been required to take a leap into the open sky and trust that my faith would carry me to the ground. Now, I can guarantee you that there were parishioners who required an extra effort on my part to see their worth and dignity. There were board meetings that challenged my belief in the transcending mystery and wonder. But look, I spoke at rallies, and I marched in pride parades. I boycotted all the right businesses and made sure everybody knew it. I supported progressive political causes and political candidates with my time and my money. But 2 deployments later, I look back and recognize that while I believed, I didn't really have faith. You see, belief alone is easy. It requires no investment of yourself. When my more conservative Army chaplain brethren, and let's face it, they're pretty much all brethren, when they say they have faith, they more often mean faith as belief. From their perspective, you can believe or you can have faith in God in the same way we might know that the world is round and revolves around the sun. And it is round and it does revolve around the sun. You have faith because you see certain evidence that something is true. But where you cannot find evidence for them, you just take a leap of faith and just believe. But the kind of faith I am talking about is not about beliefs. It's far more powerful than believing what you cannot prove. The word believe comes from a root which means to hold dear, to esteem, or to trust. It's very close to an Old English adjective, lof, which means beloved, or if it were a verb, would mean to beloved something. When used in a theological sense, it's very similar to when I say, I believe in you. If I say, I believe in you, I am not saying I believe you're a real person. I am saying that I have trust and confidence in who you are deep down where it counts, that you have value and meaning simply because you are. And when I say, I believe in you, I can truly say I love you because of who you are and nothing else. In a similar way, to have faith in something is not believing what cannot be proven, but is to say it is something that you beloved. It is something that you trust deep down in your soul, in your bones, deep down where it counts. Now imagine using the word believe in that way when talking about your Unitarian Universalist faith. Imagine the difference that can make. All of a sudden, Unitarian Universalism is no longer about faith statements. It's not about causes that you support. It's not about marches that we participate in. It's about trust and confidence and love. And it's just that kind of faith I had to discover in Kandahar if I was going to make it out spiritually and emotionally mended from the brokenness that I had experienced. The question I was faced with on a daily basis was not, what do I believe? But where can I put my trust? Where do I place my deepest confidence? What do I truly beloved in my life? And I can tell you that when the nights were long and dark and lonely, those principles, then 7, now 8 principles, were cold company. I didn't pray to a single one of the sources of faith, and I can tell you for sure, nobody asked me to give an elevator speech after a firefight. I needed something more. I needed something worthy not just of my intellectual assent, but my confidence and my trust and my love. When it was all over, I needed something that would allow me to make sense, some kind of sense, some kind of meaning of all that I'd experienced. In short, I didn't need more beliefs. I needed faith. Because being there challenged everything in my life. There was no way around it. But as one whose tradition stands on that bedrock of human worth and dignity, my experience became such a test of faith for me. Because how does one reconcile a suicide bomber with inherent worth? What about the father, while I was there, who placed a bomb in his intellectually disabled son's turban, drugged him with morphine, and sent him on a mission to assassinate the mayor of Kandahar City? Worth and dignity? It didn't make sense. The grueling pace, the explosions, the fear of losing my life were nothing compared to the soul-shaking questions that those experiences put right in front of me. Just a few days after the first suicide attack, another young soldier was killed, shot in the back of the head by an assassin. Not long after that, an Afghan soldier who was ostensibly our ally was paid about $50 and killed 2 of my good friends, wounded several others. Along with those attacks on U.S. forces came innumerable attacks on Afghan civilians, children, women, police officers, government officials, but even more powerful was the pain and suffering of so many who were just caught in the middle of this global conflict that they didn't ask for, they didn't want to be a part of. These were just good and decent people who all they wanted was just a better life for themselves and their families. So try as hard as I could not see the worth and dignity of those who committed those acts there and those who promoted that war at home. Back in the States, it was easy to tell myself I had to believe, just believe in that bomber's worth and dignity. And if I couldn't believe it, just take that leap of faith and believe it anyway, despite all the evidence to the contrary. But when I faced these things and those people up close and personal, it was not so easy to just believe. It felt as forced to me as believing in the historicity of the resurrection or the virgin birth. I couldn't just believe. I struggled, and I doubted, and I cried. Could I be a faithful Unitarian Universalist if I could not see worthiness in every person? Then at the very same time, I saw soldiers do these amazing things. Young people in their teens and 20s who fought through literally every challenge they faced, confronted with fear and exhaustion and grief and loneliness and confusion. Again and again, they just picked up and drove on. I saw them risk and sometimes sacrifice their lives, not for any cause, not for their country, but for their friends. Despite what they had been through, they continued to love and care. How? I asked. What made the difference? And when I really began to look, I found that those soldiers who came through things stronger were those who, whatever their professed faith, professed beliefs, saw their own worth, despite the things going on around them. Despite all that was going on around them, they believed that they were something more than the things that happened to them. They were the soldiers who made the very difficult choice and refused to give up on the idea that people are bigger and better and more noble than our actions would lead us to believe. Now, they had a variety of spiritual languages to communicate that idea, but each in their own way had faith in the inherent worth of all people, and it included themselves. When the time came, it was those soldiers who lived that out, whether it was something as simple as a kind word and a smile to an Afghan child, or charging headlong into danger to defend a friend. Those with faith in their own worth were the ones who came through stronger than before. Now, in our world today, not in some far-off land, not in a time over a decade ago, but right here at home, right now, where mean-spiritedness and even hatred seem to have taken hold more than ever, the faith we must cultivate is faith in our own goodness, our own value, and our own worth, and our own belovedness. Such a faith will not magically change the world. Trust me, it will not do it. But without such a faith, we will not have hope enough to do the world-changing work that we need to do. Now, sometimes you seem to think that this elusive worthiness thing just kind of bubbles up naturally from some eternal, unquenchable spring, and then we adorn it with rainbows and butterflies and the false hope that if we are just nice and reasonable, the magic of worth and dignity will make everything okay. I was very much that way. It was humanity onward and upward forever, as the old humanist motto goes. But after seeing the tragic, frightening consequences of people choosing human evil over human dignity, I have come to understand it very differently now. Worth and dignity are not automatic. They are inherently possible in the human condition, but not givens. They require work to make them real because they have their opposing forces, among them human evil and its most powerful manifestation, hatred. These two, like human worth, are potentials in each of us as well. Our faith is one that continually reminds me not to allow the heinous acts of some to drive me towards bitterness and hate. That is so easy to do, and I know for me sometimes just feels so good. This faith demanded that I put aside my desire to hate another for their actions and instead put my deepest trust in the power of my own love for the world to rise above even the most horrific violence and hate I saw. This is quite different than I had been seeing it. Like many of you, I imagine, and maybe all of us at some time imagine this, that we have to see worth and dignity in the other first. But that gets it backwards. The worth and dignity I needed to be most concerned with was not that of other people, but my own. Surrounded by so much pain, so much hate and violence, I found myself becoming angry and discouraged and even hateful myself. And I realized somehow that I had to stop worrying about being able to see the worth and dignity of the guy out there somewhere who was trying to kill me and start the hard work of living out my own worth and dignity with the people right in front of me. With so much in our world right now that seems out of control, so counter to the values that we hold, with all the systems of power and politics seemingly arrayed against us, so that things can seem hopeless to us. Why are we still doing this? Why are we doing this right here, right now, in this place? Why do we continue to do this? Why are we sitting in these pews? Why are we giving our time and our energy and our money to this place? When surrounded by so much that seems to be counter to who we are, it can become very easy for us to become angry and discouraged and even hateful ourselves. So we're going to stop worrying about the worth and dignity of those who oppose us, and we're going to do the hard work of living out our own worth and dignity with the people right in front of us and right around us. That's what we are here to do as Unitarian Universalists, to live out our inherent potential for worthiness by doing the work of loving and caring for each other. That's our training. Loving and caring for each other. We are not going to change the governor. Does anyone think we're going to change the governor? We're not going to change our senators. We're not going to change our president. But we can do the work of loving and caring for those who they and so many others would demean and degrade and dehumanize. But doing that hard work takes practice, takes training. It takes doing it over and over and over again, sometimes doing it really well, or if you're like me, sometimes doing it really poorly, until the training gets into our minds and our muscles. And that training starts right here with us in this place. So what does that really mean in action? Simple. It means a kind word to an unfamiliar face. It means a gentle smile to the person sitting next to you. Those are acts of kindness and love that become tangible reminders of our worthiness. It means working to help with our English as a second language program, or adult basic education, or the fresh food distribution. Those aren't just things. Those are practices of rebellion against a dehumanizing system that will give hope to others who are often held down and demeaned. It means making clear to all who enter these doors, which we do, in word and in deeds, that no matter who you are, no matter what society or culture may tell you about yourself, that you are welcomed here and you are loved and accepted in this place. That is an act of radical hospitality and irresistible generosity that subverts systems of oppression and, most important, builds capacity in our hearts for even greater love and even greater action. We need to build out our hearts so that when the really hard work comes, when we're opposing those who would see us not here anymore, we will have the capacity to continue on without falling into hate. Our training starts here as we all join together. And it will go far, far beyond these walls. Trust me, it will go far beyond these walls. It already has in many ways. Because this place and all we do here are our training for the hard work of creating a more whole and holy world. So, when the time comes for that leap of faith, when your jump light turns green, you can take your steps, kick out that door with love, and know you'll be carried safely to the ground by your Unitarian Universalist faith. Please join me now in a moment of reflection, in words and in silence. Spirit of life, known by many names and understood in the silence of our hearts, hold us now in the embrace of each other's love. Where there is brokenness, bring healing. Where there is fear, bring friendship. Where there is hurt, bring understanding. Where there is weariness, bring hope. And in this place, if only for these few moments, may no one be alone. And may it be so.
We are the tradition of the Free Church. Our church and our community outreach are supported not from an outside source, but from within. We invite you to make a financial contribution to help sustain this church's vital work, knowing that every gift, large and small, will be appreciated and carefully used in service to our mission. The QR code or text information for donations is available at the back of the seat pocket. If you would like to donate by credit card, Apple, or Google Pay, someone from stewardship can assist you near the kitchen after the service. As the ushers come forward to receive the offering, I invite you to say with me these words. We are building beloved community with our labor and with our treasure. With gratitude, we receive the offering. May it help us to fulfill our mission in the world.
And now, as you are comfortable, please, in body or in spirit, join hands with one close to you. Or in your heart and your soul, join hands with someone far away. Join hands with a stranger in need. Join hands with a yet unknown friend. The hand you hold speaks not of age nor race, gender or affection. It speaks only of the soft warmth of our humanity and the possibility of human hope, love, compassion, and peace in our world. So may it be. Amen.
And here are some ways for us to connect, learn, and grow together today. The nursery is open until 12:45. The children will have community playtime with the child care staff. Check them in at the nursery. The youth will have hot topics in room 209. Our adults, you are invited to start out in room 105 with I just lost his name, Dan, and we're doing a walking meditation with the trees today. There'll be an introduction to the meditation in room 105, and then we will go out to the grounds to do the meditation. What a beautiful way to frame this sermon today. There is an exploring membership class. Want to know more about being a member of Live Oak UU? Join us in the library right after the service. In room 106, Tim Buckley will have Breeze training. Drop in and learn all about Breeze, and he'll get you set up. And again, the meditation group, the regular meditation group, meets at 12:30 this afternoon in room 208. However you choose, we invite you to get connected in this warm, welcoming community. Thank you.
Please rise and body your spirit for our closing hymn, number 391. Voice still and small, and remain standing for the extinguishing of our chalice. So we will now extinguish the chalice as we say these words to each other. We extinguish the flame here that it might glow and gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. It's been such a gift to be together today, and a special thank you to Reverend George Tyger for that powerful message. Thank you also to today's home team who provided hospitality in worship and text leadership. That includes Joel, Eileen, Don, Larice, Nancy, Melinda, and Hella. Let's continue that hospitality by taking the next 5 minutes to talk with someone you don't know. Members, be sure to introduce yourself to new folks. Those are the ones who have the handwritten name tags. Show them where to find the visitors table and the coffee. And may we all know the blessings of fellowship.